Oh, yeah. It's okay. Welcome to Scio Township Special Board of Trustees meeting, June 30th, 2026. It is calling this meeting to order at 6 p.m. Clerk Flintoff, please call the roll.
Carey,
Here.
Gapel,
Present.
Flintoff, here. Grant,
Here.
Noel, here. Reed,
Here.
Riser. Also present is our Operations Director, Nathaniel Clark, and our Township Attorney, Mariah Fink.
Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
One nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Adoption of the agenda. We have the special meeting was called for the purpose of the Road Advisory Committee presentation, proposed millage, and what else here? Are there any suggested changes? Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to note that the special meeting was called for a specific purpose. In our minutes and on the meeting notice, it was to call a special meeting to consider a township attorney drafted resolution and ballot language related to a Scio Township road, crosswalk, bike lane, bridge, and culvert improvement millage proposal for 2027. And so I would ask that we have an agenda that focuses on the proposed millage language.
I'd support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, before we begin, please, everyone, let's keep the comments in order and precise so we can get through this. We will have a second chance to contribute anything new. Also, phones, please put the ringer down, and let's be respectful. Okay, is there a declaration of conflict? This is what's up. We all drive on the road, so we have to recuse ourselves. Okay, well, we'll move on. Public comment. This is the time for members. Oh, one other thing. Make sure you speak into the microphones because Cheryl, our minute keeper, was having a hard time with some of our picking up some of our words. Thank you. Oh, the same with over here in the special table and at the microphone here at the public comment. Okay, so this is the time for members of the public to speak to the Board of Trustees for up to 5 minutes on any matter, and we begin with anyone present. Please come to the table and speak into the microphone.
Resident, perhaps after public comments, we can take this microphone over the table so you will both have your own microphones. That might make things easier over on the side. At the last board meeting, you spent 2 hours discussing the issues from every angle. We have been lucky the last few years to be able to use ARPA money to keep the road work limping along without having to take out too much from the general fund. Jessica, at the last meeting, you made a point about delaying until December 2027 to collect the first fund. What will we do next summer? Will we take the $984,000 out of the general fund to accomplish the projects we asked of RAC to identify for 2027? The board made a request to the RAC committee that made changes to the first two presentations from RAC. Last week's third presentation was the culmination of years of work from very dedicated people trying to help our community. I, for one, found their advice compelling and support the up to $500,000 asked with this year's ballot. John, you asked Mariah to come up with millage language to include bike lanes and crosswalks. You used the example of Jackson Road for a crosswalk. I think it's critical for this board to remember that Jackson, Scio Church, Liberty, Dexter, Miller, and Wagner are not in the scope of what the RAC committee proposed. Those all belong to the road commission. Just today, the road commission made an announcement that fees from Park to 94 will be prepared in 2028 when they install the roundabout at Zeven Park. That will be the time to address the unpaved section of Park, so we save money by combining all the work at the same time. And we'll have 3 years worth of millage funds to help pay for it. And there's more. Bike lanes aren't just bike lanes. There are multitudes of types of bike lanes with state laws guiding how they are engineered. And the costs escalate with each modification. Same goes for crosswalks. Have you all ever heard of an RRSB? It's a rectangular rapid flashing beacon. Turns out those gizmos are expensive. Installation of which is often triggered by crosswalk engineering requirements. That's one tiny example of how complicated your request is, John. I highly suggest you have a conversation with the road commission and find out what is involved. If you want to add bike lanes and crosswalks to the road spillage in the next few years, ask the road commission what it is willing to do for the major road, then come back to the board with some sort of proposal that can be sent to RAC to build on. For 2026, I hope you all support the RAC committee's recommendation and get the road work started as soon as possible. We all drive the roads every day, and this is a tangible way to help residents in their day-to-day lives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Mary Gillis, resident and candidate for trustee. Thank you so much for holding this special meeting to discuss the question of putting a roads millage before the people of Scio Township on the November ballot. Whenever government is thinking about requesting additional funding, it should consider the question in great detail. We are doing that this evening, and I appreciate the effort. My experience of road conditions in Scio is good. The roads I travel on are generally in good condition, and when in the case of driving on a pockmarked dirt road, I understand that it is seasonal. The one time I reported a problem to the WCRC about a dirt road, the matter was resolved within a few days. Coincidence, most likely, but a happy coincidence. In my view, Scio roads are in much better condition than Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti roads, and no worse than Dexter or Chelsea. This may be an argument to continue what we are already doing for roads, unless a case is made that current funding paid out of the general fund is inadequate to keep up with the ongoing need. Are we allowing some roads to deteriorate due to inadequate funding going forward? In reviewing your capital improvement plan, one thing that jumps out at me is that the amount estimated that will be accrued from the proposed 0.5 millage is static throughout, though it will certainly change due to population growth. Isn't that right? Is there some way to estimate that? The average growth in population over the past 5 years used as a multiplier to estimate what actual funds will be raised in year 3, for example, of the proposed millage? Likewise, the amount in matching funds contributed by WCRC is static throughout at $266,000. Is that because their funding source is unchanging, or will that number change at all, either up or down? In this plan, you set aside $100,000 every year for culverts and bridges. I'd like to hear something about the state of our culverts at tonight's meeting, or maybe not at tonight's meeting, soon before we make this decision. Is $100,000 enough to fix one culvert, or several, or only part of one? I'd like to hear more about the current state of our bridges. Bridge repair is notoriously expensive. Are there particular bridges you're keeping your eye on? I take it none are expected to need work in the next 5 years because none show up specifically on this plan. Is there a part of the funding that you expect to set aside for future bridge repairs? If so, which ones and how much? That part of the plan seems to need to be fleshed out. Finally, I like the idea of painting crosswalks and bike lanes where appropriate on the roads under maintenance in this plan. As noted at last week's meeting, that would likely be the cheapest part of the task, and we know that both improve the safety and utility of our roads. Perhaps your contingency fund would more appropriately be designated for that. Culverts and bridges be brought up into the main part of the plan. As I stated at the outset, I'm in favor of road funding. I'd like to hear the case for effectively doubling the current spending on our roads, bridges, culverts, and bike lanes with this proposed millage, and a bit more precision on how the incoming funds would be allocated across the different road-related needs. Finally, let's remember that everyone here tonight on the board, on the committee, the residents, and candidates, we all want the same thing. There are no bad guys here. Let's work together to figure this out. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else present would like to speak? Please come to the table.
Good evening, Roy Thompson, Scio Township resident. Just a little bit of background. Actually, I first have a question, that I know you can't answer, but I thought this was talk about a November 26th ballot, but then there was talked about, you mentioned 27.
No, the funding, there seems to be, I'll address that in response.
Okay.
I can do that as well.
All right, I thought it was for November 26th, if I read on that ballot. Anyway, I've been working on roads obviously a long time. I was on the Scio Roads Committee on and off probably for 10 years. And we had a proposal similar to this probably 3 years ago. And I appreciate, the work that the committee has done to finally get it before the board tonight. And obviously a couple meetings prior to. I've looked at what Ian and Jillian and the committee have done. I think they've done a really good job, but laid things out of what, could happen. And the advantage of having a road millage is you can leverage money from other like state fund, road commission funds. They require matching. It's part of that state statute that requires matching funds. So the townships does have some obligation put in the local roads that won't be fixed. And obviously there's quite a few townships that have put road millages on, for the most part they've passed. And some in pretty conservative areas such as Scio Township and Lodi Township, and I think most times they pass like 70%. People realize that road millages actually do increase the value of the property because good roads means better, better property values. Crummy roads, I always tell people, if you're selling your house and people go look at, 3 homes that day or 4 homes, and all the homes are the same, but the roads are different, they're gonna remember when they leave, it's like, okay, that was the house on the crummy road, or that was the house on the good road. So the $500,000, I think the numbers work out 100 to 120, maybe 130. So it's $10 to $15 a month that the people would pay. Is it gonna fix all the roads at once? No, but it will help leverage funds from other areas, i.e. the road commission, i.e. money from the state. And that's how, all the other communities are doing it. Like that either most of the urban townships have a millage or they're charter townships. That's how they are able to fund roads. At the end of the day, roads are expensive, bridges are expensive, culverts are expensive. And have that money set aside for culverts and bridges, that just makes sense because all of a sudden, sometimes culverts fail, they wash out, they fail. And it's nice to have a little bit of reserve set aside for when that does happen. A culvert can easily be $200,000 or $300,000, or it can be $20,000 to $30,000, depending what. Here again, the requirement generally is a 50% match from the township. Bridges, obviously you have more planning for that, but bridges are going to be, millions of dollars generally, depending on the size of it. So having some money set aside for those just makes sense. Obviously, we have Delhi historic bridge here. It's going to require maintenance. I mean, it's 130 years old. It's going to require more than normal maintenance. But I mean, that was something the township wanted. We partnered road commission and the township to restore that historic bridge. So it's going to take a little bit more. Rather than putting a concrete bridge out there, would obviously been terrible for the character and community out there. But it lasts longer. But that was something the community wanted, and I'm thankful they did that. But today, I'm an advocate for having. It's basically you're giving the people the opportunity to make that decision. You're just putting it on the ballot. People want better roads. They have the opportunity to vote. If not, they decide no. So thank you.
Thank you, Roy. Kathleen, are you keeping time for public comments? I am. Thank you. Kind of, Christy usually uses the,
I'm Pat Shields. Can you hear me? I have a
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
weak voice. So I've been told many times. Pat Shields, I have a weak voice, but I'm here to strongly support what the committee has been trying to do. I've been involved for 20 years in working on roads in the township as well as in our neighborhood. And I think everything I had in my notes here has been said already. I just want to back those things. I was talking to a friend on the way over here, who's a former member of the House. We were talking about roads in his community. And he said, in all of my years involved in politics, which is 25 years, I've never seen anybody voted out because of roads. People want their roads supported. They want money allocated. And roads are the thing that tie these communities together. This is how we get places. This is how we spend our money. This is how we entertain ourselves. And it's really important to have good roads. And if we're going to keep the values of our properties up, roads are a critical part of that. And I just encourage you to support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else present would like to speak?
I'm Marcia Haddix, Scio Township resident. I also just wanted to add my voice about this road issue. I appreciate all the work that RAC has done over the last couple of years. They met and reformulated their plans, and it sounds like they have a good one. And I really would encourage the board to put the village out on the ballot, so letting residents decide. And I didn't understand why bike lanes and sidewalks would get added to this, since there's no money for it in their proposal or their millage. I agree that we need them, but I think we need a separate analysis of what that could mean for where they go and whatever, and then work out how to raise the money for that. It seems like RAC has decided what they needed to do the work they proposed, and I think we ought to let them, the residents, decide if that's what they want to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else present would like to speak? Nope. Clerk Flintoff, anyone online?
Got one and board. Yeah.
Thank you, Pam Boyd. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, hallelujah. I agree with my public comments at the last meeting where we could not hear from the attorney table, and some of the trustees were not speaking into your microphones. Tonight, I say make it simple. Our RAC has made a proposal. It's a solid one. And if we add in a whole bunch of other things, it'll make it more complicated. In today's day and age, it's easier to take things on a simple path. And this is all about roads, and whether you drive, whether you ride a bike, whether you are riding a bus, you are on a road. And so the roads need to come first. So I advocate for passing what the RAC committee has presented. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other interested public, please raise your hand. Okay, you're done.
Okay. So on to board comment in response to public comments. We begin tonight with Treasurer Yapel, if there's anything.
I guess I would respond simply to the comment about when the proposed millage language says it would begin. It would be on the November 2026 ballot. At least that's been the discussion thus far. The tax, so if voters were to pass this, would not begin until the tax bill that comes out in December of 2027. What that does mean is that we still could because we budget and accrue for our next fiscal year that begins in April of 2027, that tax. So if the road commission came up with an agreement with RAC or the township, we would be able to still expend that money, even though we are not going to receive it until December, January, and February from that future tax levy. Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying that. Appreciate it.
Clerk Flintoff.
Yeah, I'm just glad we have a second meeting to talk about this. This is the second time that the board's talking about actual millage language. And I think some of these fundamental questions, like when the money comes in and when you can spend it, certain definitions are where we need to spend our time tonight. So thank you.
Trustee Brandt, you have any?
No response.
Trustee Noel,
No comments.
trustee Reed,
No comment.
trustee Riser.
Not at this time.
Okay, yeah, there was, so population growth, yes, there will be population growth, as we know. However, there's also the Headley Amendment that we need to be aware of, and that could roll back. So we may not be able to capture the point, the full amount. And we do have a matching grant from the road commission at this time. We don't know if this will change, just like we don't know what's happening at the state level, but it is $266,528 at this time, which is double what we had in the past many years. So that's very nice. Bridges, how much, which ones? We don't know that at this point, but I do know a few years ago in Parkland Plaza area, there were 2 culverts that just had pretty much disintegrated, and we didn't have the money. We had to scramble, and I think we paid for that out of the general fund. So we're trying to be proactive and put money aside, because it will be inevitable. Everything falls apart. It's just the nature of life. Culverts and bridges. So that's where our thinking was putting that money aside, and hopefully Treasurer Yapel will be able to invest that for us into grow, because when we do have a big expenditure, we will have that money, and hopefully we can cover the cost. Okay.
Jillian,
Yes.
I take back my no comment. I have a quick comment.
Sure.
Simply by adding culverts and bike lanes, that language to the millage gives us permission, gives the township permission to spend this money on those things. We don't necessarily have to, but if something comes up, if a culvert fails, and like Roy said, the road commission wants 50% of the repair bill from us, we can use this millage to spend it. If culverts are not in this millage, technically we can't use this money for a culvert. We have to take it out of general fund. So by adding those objects to this millage, it gives us permission to use that. We're not forced to fix every culvert, but it allows us to fix culvert. That's why that language is there. Thanks.
Yeah, actually over a certain dimension, then we do have to contribute. Yeah.
Okay, well, but now we can.
Yes, right. But I agree with you and your explanation. Thank you. Okay. All right, so let's move on. And if we have suggested for our requested, I should say, of our attorney to create this millage language and resolution. Let's have the discussion. I mean, we do have the road advisory committee that is willing to present or have review the presentation. So everybody is familiar with what we were tasked to do, or we can just move on.
Is this the most recent? I know I gave some edits. You may not have had time to. Those weigh in on the one in the packet.
Yeah, it's the most recent.
Okay, yeah. So what I thought we would do tonight is, some of you gave me feedback in writing. I'm sure there's gonna be more to talk about tonight.
Oh.
Rob coming up here to admonish me.
Here, back here.
How's that? No.
Yeah.
It's on. Get right on it.
How's that?
Clark doesn't need one.
So what I thought we would do tonight is do some drafting at the table, which is why the resolution refers to an attachment rather than having the language embedded in the resolution. So if we redraft tonight and you come to some kind of an agreement, the clerk can read that millage language into the record along with the resolution. And we could do it that way. Does that make sense? Okay.
Okay. Well, let's begin with Treasurer Yeaple.
I guess my main comment here would, couple of things. One, the amount of different items that we're trying to include in this millage language. Improvement of local public roads for which township funds are an integral part of funding. Bridges, bike lanes, crosswalks, and culverts. It seems like we're including quite a bit in this. I'm worried, one, that it's lengthy and people are going to look at it as a large ask. Maybe if I know it was important to Trustee Riser to include crosswalks and bike lanes. I'm also curious as to how much I agree bike lanes and crosswalks are something that we do need generally. It's also something that's needed as part of the complete streets plan that we developed for Jackson Road. We also need in local neighborhood areas. I don't know what the total dollar ask is that we need for this. I'm also looking at the fact that this will raise $984,536. We have been using general funds for this, which also have the matching grant. I just am unclear how much is going to what. I think that's going to be a question from some of our voters. I think some of the voters are going to look at it and say, are you taking 20% for crosswalks and 60% for roads? How are you guys splitting this up? The engineering inspections, that all makes sense. But it just seems extremely lengthy and that we're including quite a bit. And I wonder if that's just going to become a problem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Treasurer Yeaple, Clerk Flintoff. Thank you.
Yeah, some of my comments are similar to last time. I'm not yet in support of this because, well, we have a very good capital plan for roads for the next year or so. I just don't see anywhere a justification of the need for $984,000 a year. It's a lot of money. And well, I appreciate we could add things like bike lanes and crosswalks and spend that money. I don't think it's right to tax people when we don't have a detailed enough plan for all of that money. I think there's a plan for some of the money, but not for a full 0.5. I really think that this smacks of overtaxing as is without more of a detailed plan about what the proposed expenditures are, such as, and we don't tax in order to save money. And it makes me cringe to hear that. That is bad governance. We should not tax people and hold their money to save it up for something. We might, if we were, say, building a fire station, that makes sense, but we're not going to save up for, a bridge that may fall down. We need more of a plan. And I think in particular, the big ticket items like bridges, I would like to see more of a plan for. I would like to, a couple of things. I think people are clear now on when money is levied and when it can be spent. As we know, we're in fiscal year end 27. We've already budgeted and authorized the money for that. So that December 1, 2027 tax levy would be the next year. two suggestions I had for Mariah, which you didn't take, Mariah, which is fine. But I want to raise to the board. I don't think the language of providing a supplemental funding, but not to supplant the funding from other sources really does it. I want to see, as I said at the last meeting, the word leverage, I think is a good word because it suggests that we could potentially hold Washington County Road Commission, State of Michigan, and others on the hook. I would also like to see maybe something like leverage, something like inclusive comma and leverage funding from other sources, including Washtenaw County, State of Michigan. And I would suggest for the board that we also consider, or I don't know if it's neighborhood contributions or private contributions. I don't know what that would exactly look like, but if we have a partnership with, say, an HOA or something who might want to kick in, and I know with our road SADs before, David and Kathy, I think you two, when you were on the board earlier, used to do some of that matching with private. So I want to put that as a possibility. Again, as I said last meeting, I would like to have a definition of what local public roads are. I don't think what's in parentheses. I think that's our defining it as roads for which township funds are an integral part of funding. I mean, they may or may not be, right? We're not required to fund any of it. So how do we define local public roads? Do we define it as Jackson Road, or do we define it as Wagner Ridge Court or something in between? I would also state, Wagner Ridge Court, Rose Drive, Brooken Ridge, the Delhi Bridge. These are all examples of a bridge and roads that we have funded through neighborhood SADs. And I have to ask from a policy point of view, again, why would we impose a special millage and have the entire township pay for things that the small groups of neighbors have already demonstrated that they're willing to pay for? I look at Wagner Ridge Court. Around the corner from me, it is a cul-de-sac. So just, is that a local public road? How do we define this, and how is this going to be fair and maximize all the other sources, including the neighborhoods who have been willing to pay for their own roads? I don't want to discourage that. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Brandt, you're next.
I don't have great issues with the language, which is the basis of this meeting. I did support the concept of painting crosswalks and bike lanes in a minimalist fashion. I could give you a list of roads that probably qualify, and they would all be off of Jackson Road that are considered business roads. They don't have crosswalks now. It would seem like that would be an easy thing to do. Can't think of any in neighborhoods that would need it. When it comes to 0.5 mils, this essentially will generate, with the matching from the road commission, $1.25 million per year. That seems like a lot of taxation. I think you might have better success with a lower amount that reflects what we have done historically. I just think it would have a better shot at passing. I'm not sure that people have the will to pass a 0.5 mil. And I'm taking this in consideration with the current environment in this country where our federal government is forcing gas to go up, forcing inflation factors. These kinds of things impact people's decisions for voting on millages, because Actually, gas is, and food is probably more important than roads. And as long as we have the federal government and our supreme leader, keeping this, war up in the air, there's not going to be a change in gas taxes, and it hits people, and I think it reflects on their decisions on taxation. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, trustee Noel.
I said at the prior meeting that I plan to fully support this. And I still do. I know some questions have been raised by other board members regarding definitions of public roads and some other issues. And I'm wondering, Jessica, did you talk to Mariah about any of the questions related to the definitions or the other issues that you have or might have with this draft?
Yes, all of them
Okay.
in writing,
Okay.
and we discussed it.
Okay.
And Mariah, if I believe that the definition, if I'm saying it right, there isn't a definition of local public roads. It's for us to determine.
I couldn't find something. I couldn't find something that really defined local roads. I had looked at some of the resources that the Washington County Road Commission had sent, and they're sort of defining it as roads that they don't think they're primarily responsible for, which is an odd definition for us to use. So, I couldn't find anything that worked well. I do think that you could probably fashion something that would work.
Okay, thank you. There was just a question asked about why would we have a special millage on all residents in the township? Well, all residents in the township will use the roads in the township in different ways. I mean, the connections, it varies from person to person, neighborhood to neighborhood, but indirectly, I believe most residents or all residents would benefit from improved road funding. And you, Jessica, you asked, why would we have a special millage when neighborhoods have voluntarily self-funded in the past? Well, not all neighborhoods have voluntarily self-funded in the past. Only a few have. And I'm looking at Pat Shields right now because we live in the same neighborhood, and he was instrumental in getting the funding for our SAD. It took a lot of work. Not everyone in the neighborhood supported it. He's nodding away now, but it's complicated. And just because some neighborhoods have voluntarily self-funded with an SAD in the past doesn't mean all neighborhoods are going to at this time. I mean, so. Okay.
No.
Go
ahead.
I think we are in different times. I will agree with that. And all the more reason, I think, for us to consider this millage and let the residents decide. I mean, by not putting it on the ballot, we are making a decision for the entire township. And why not let the residents decide? One more comment. At a recent meeting, we voluntarily voted to essentially ship out to independent contractors multiple different functions in finance. And we did that because we thought it was the best decision under the circumstances, even though we had reservations about it, many of us. And I would say some of those same principles apply here. I think that it's the best decision in general. I know some people will have reservations, but in the overall picture, I think the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, and we should let the residents decide. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next is Trustee Reed.
Well, I'm for this. I'm for this millage proposal, and I like the language that has been crafted. Thank you, Mariah, including sidewalks and bike lanes and crosswalks. I think it's critical, especially on the big major roads, especially when there's a mile between the lights. It's real important to have people be able to cross the roads. But going back to helping people who have already paid for improving their roads, one of the codicils we had one of the agreements, that we had in the previous township-wide SAD was that if the township would contribute I think it was like the amount of one household to the SAD to help the process. And then once they fix the road, the money from the SAD would then go towards the annual maintenance or the 5-year maintenance, 10-year maintenance. So that was an additional incentive for the neighborhood to pave their road, get it upgraded, and then we would take over the maintenance of it. And I think I see that here. I think that is continuing that promise, if you will. And I think that's a good thing. If they want to improve their neighborhood, okay, and then we'll do the maintenance. So I have no problem with maintaining a neighborhood that has fixed their roads. That's my comments.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Riser.
I think there's a threshold question whether there is support on this board.
Do you want to turn the microphone?
Oh, we're closer.
Hello. I think there is a threshold question of whether we want to put a millage on the November ballot or not. It seems like there is support to do it. I support doing it. Let the voters decide yes or no. Let them say no like they did to the fire one, then yes to the fire one, once we got our act together and tweak that. So I'm in favor of placing it on the ballot, letting the residents decide. 2, to Jessica's point, we got to tweak what we mean by local public roads. It says, as the one, I got a couple different versions, I hope I have the right one, roads for which township funds are an integral part of funding. So if that, we should be able to spend the money however this says we spend the money, not how the road commission defines local roads, but we need to coalesce on what we want it to be used for, whatever that is. If we wanted to put a crosswalk on Jackson Road, then we should be able to do it because Jackson Road is a road for which township funds are an integral part of the funding. So we got to pin that down, nails that down, in my opinion. 3rd, I'm not going to take my ball and go home if I don't get bike lanes and crosswalks. 1, it's not sidewalks, Marcia, I love you, but it's crosswalks. So I don't plan on doing crosswalks. Sidewalks all the way along where I can, walk, ride, bike, whatever. I'm talking about crossroads, and you can't put a crossroad unless you have a landing thing on each side. So you just can't put a crossroad because we want one here. It's got to have an existing sidewalk to an existing sidewalk, something like that. So crosswalks, you don't get to just do them. They have to, according to code. I also think that, everybody drives on the roads, but more and more people ride bikes, electric bikes, non-electric bikes, and a lot of people walk and get out. We got the zebra road pathway that's going to take us to the border to border. So walking we've got more dense neighborhoods going in. They should have crosswalks. We got Woodbridge should have a crosswalk, maybe across to whatever shopping there is. So we need to, I don't think we think enough about crosswalks when we put in developments or sidewalks when we put in developments. So I'm trying to retrofit it a little bit if it's on the road surface. So I hope that we keep bike lanes and crosswalks, knowing that we're limited on what we can do. If the road's not right wide enough for a bike lane, you can't do a bike lane. Some roads can be narrowed to, I think, 11.5 feet. Adam Lake, if he's online, can give his thoughts on that if he wants to. But making things more bike and crosswalk friendly is, I think, the right thing to do by way of future transportation. And two, hell, I'd rather vote for a bike lane or a crosswalk than I would a culvert, Roy. Nothing personal, but I mean, I think crosswalks and bike lanes will have more voter appeal. And I yield the floor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Well, I'm going to start with what John had said, and I did speak with Adam Lake, Director of Operations from the Road Commission today, and asking him about crosswalks and whatnot. Just to be clear, so the Road Commission owns all the roads except for, I-94, private roads, of course. So it's up to them to, if we provide them with a plan and they say, no, those, we're going to suggest that those roads aren't what needs to be done, they're going to have their own plan. Of course, they will accept our money, but and they have to. Public Act 51. So their version, their definition of local roads are not private. They don't touch private. We don't, for the sake, we don't touch private either. Primary roads. The following is a summary of the roads, bridges, and culverts located in Scio Township and the 2026 Local Road Matching Program allocation for local roads in Scio Township. Primary roads, 48.98 miles of paved, 0 miles of unpaved, 13 bridges more than 20 feet span, 9 culverts greater than 5 feet in diameter. Local roads are 29.58 miles of local paved roads, 29.68 miles of local unpaved roads, 8 bridges more than 20 feet span, 10 culverts on local collector roads greater than 5 feet in diameter. So that is where they narrow it down. Do they have a specific definition? I guess we could use ChatGPT and put all of this in there and it would come up with something, but this is what they mean. So they own the roads. In order for our roads to be maintained, we must provide funding, or we don't have to. I mean, we don't have a responsibility to roads. We can just let it go and we will reap that outcome with the voters. Culverts and bridges are important. They may not be so important where you see them or you use them, but they're there and we must maintain them. If a culvert that is under a road fails, that road fails as well. You cannot drive over that. Developments. This is where we should be talking with the Planning Commission and, and I'm assuming that if there is a neighborhood on Jackson Road or a main primary road, that we would be putting that into the development agreement. I'm hoping that that would really, that makes sense. Their development is creating a different use of that road. So crosswalks and bike lanes. When I talked to Adam, we were looking at the primary roads, which would be wide enough for these crosswalks and bike lanes. There's specific details when it comes to putting those in. And he suggested that we could have in the millage language to supplement non-motorized future work or not non-motorized work. And then we would be able to use that money specifically for these primary roads. Scio Ridge is a primary road, by the way. And so in the map that is online, or in their local road packet, that map is wrong. It shows it as a regular local road.
It depends. It's
No.
primary, yes,
No,
it's primary to uplands and then uplands.
no, no, we're not talking about to the people that live there. We're talking about the definition of a primary road that the
Right,
road
but
commission.
Scio Ridge has
maintains.
two aspects to it. It has the thoroughfare and it has the stuff in the neighborhoods.
Yes. So a crosswalk could go there. I thought we already put crosswalks in there, but anyways, a while ago, I think Roy was involved with that.
Just one section.
Just
But
one
not
section,
like, you
okay.
can't get from upland to hometown, but that's a tangent.
Yeah,
Scio Ridge is bifurcated with respect to its classification.
okay. So talking with Adam, and it's still my turn. I suggested, I said, how much would a crosswalk be? Like the most expensive that you can think of, with the arms and the lights and, the ADA ramps and the curbs and all of that. He said about $100,000. Now, the crosswalks that we're talking about, I'm assuming would fall way under that. So I suggest that we, in our plan, this isn't in the millage, but I mean, the language, except for the supplemental non-motorized, but in the plan, put aside $50,000 or whatever, just like we are requesting for culverts and bridges. That way it's dedicated. We have that dedicated funding. So when a crosswalk or a bike lane does come up, we have that money. Now, of course, we would have to figure out where they would be installed, but that wasn't part of RAC. We would have done that if we would have known. 0.5 mils. We provided every road. We have looked at every road and inventoried every road. We may have a few mistakes here and there, but we've been inventoried especially every gravel road. We did that through, we have a cycle that we're using, and we thank you to the past township-wide special assessment that started, but that was just for the connector roads, or collector if you want to call them that. And then we started including neighborhood roads. Some of these neighborhood roads have never been touched. So this 0.5 mils, and I am going to request that we remove up to and say levy. Our other millages don't say up to, because this money, with the amount of roads that we have that are in poor condition, eventually we're going to be using up all that money pretty fast. There was something else. General funds. I am so against using general funds for roads. It was a nice supplement in the past. We had it, actually, we used it maybe once or twice. But the general fund should be more of an emergency fund for everything, not something that we should be using dedicated over and over again. I know we do that with the sheriff, but people have even talked about having our own millage for public safety, including sheriff. There was something else. The past SADs. The reason why there were special assessments is because I'm sure that if we had a dedicated millage for roads back then, that they would have been more than happy to, request that their roads be improved. But that was the only option at the time, was the special assessments. Okay, and I think that's it for now. I have, I really appreciate Adam Lape for taking the time and helping us with understanding, well, just about everything that we have requested of him, the things that we couldn't figure out on our own. So the plan, the process of developing the CIP is for the local roads. And we have done a pretty good job of that. We, would have to include the bridges and culverts plan, and also the crosswalks and the bike lanes. And the millage would fund this and support the plan and developments of where the township wants to go with this, potentially.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
So I'm just thinking about this proposed millage language. Can we agree that the language will be changed after 2032 inclusive to read for the purpose of providing dedicated township funding to be used to leverage other sources, including private contributions from neighborhoods, comma, and then Washtenaw County or the state of Michigan, and finish that line. We agree to make that change.
Yes, would it be possible for you to share your screen and have it up there? Would that be possible?
I have it on in my hand.
Okay.
I don't have it on my screen. I can do that if you need me to.
No, I thought there was a Microsoft Word version. My apologies.
Not with that language. I can create one if you need me to. And then the other question I have, is there any, I'm just trying to get a better handle on the local roads definition. Is there any appetite in saying local roads as shown in the inventory done by RAC and such? No?
Or how about the local roads, the road commission, local road definition? I mean,
It's not really a definition, though.
right.
I mean,
It's
Described.
I mean,
They
That
know,
can change.
what do you have, Madam Clerk? What is that?
I was just gonna suggest, I mean, I think the scope we need to get right, and was trying to understand if the kind of balance, of year over year, I know this one year was fleshed out, the other years haven't been fleshed out. Is this kind of the year over year rough idea, Jillian? So then I think.
except for the crosswalks.
Yeah. So I think then this could be a basis of a definition. No, not as the definition, no way. But I'm just saying that, like, because it says it's got a breakdown of gravel roads, paved roads, culverts, bridges. I guess I'm just wondering, like, if all of these on this list fit the local road definition by the county, then couldn't we describe, because even with local roads, I don't know. I just feel like it would be helpful to be more descriptive to voters.
Parents Advisory Committee had a map that they did that was like an inventory of.
It's not a map. We used a map and then created the compendium.
no,
It's probably too complicated, is what you're thinking. Yeah.
Trustee Reed.
Jillian, you just read something from the road commission that spelled out to the 10th of a mile how many local roads there are. So
And
that indicates to me that the road commission has a list of local roads and how many miles they are.
well, right, they're in here, 29.58 miles
Right.
of
So-
local paved roads, and
So they have a list that they know by road and by mileage, what is a local road? So why don't we just ask them for their list and publish it on the website? Here are our local roads.
well, we have maps here.
No,
Yeah, but that's different than what goes on the ballot.
Yeah.
a map, you can't, where's my road's only this big on
Okay, you're
that
thinking
map.
right.
So just ask road commission for their list of local roads.
And if there's.
We have a list of local roads. It's in our compendium and it matches what the road commission has.
But I like David's idea about if there's a county agency that has a list, then presumably they have a big definition of what a local road is. Now, maybe it's just, maybe they don't drive laughing.
And it is a road commission, so let's be real.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just the ongoing list of roads that they would like us to pay for.
Well, right.
That's
So I take that back.
Primary road or private. We could
And
say
again, it's so
Any-
fraught.
any road within the township that is not a primary or private road would be the definition of a local road.
Define primary.
Primary is Zeeb Road, Baker Road, Scio Church, Jackson,
Liberty, is it
Liberty,
Liberty?
part of Liberty, half of Liberty is primary, the other half is not.
Isn't all of Liberty primary,
No.
just half of it gravel?
Correct, the gravel part is not
But
primary.
it's primary.
No, not the gravel part,
Is it
Collector.
not?
No.
It's a collector of primary.
right? So then you get into the types of roads, you have collector, neighborhood, Then you have your primary. Then there's gravel and paved.
Sorry, what's the definition of a primary road?
The primary road is anything that connects, the primary roads connect township to township, city to township. Roy, would you agree?
Happy to help.
Roy?
And Anna might be here too online.
Act 51 gives a definition.
Okay, go ahead, read the.
Well, again, this is the AI definition, so I think that was great. So, a county primary road is part of the county's designated primary road system and is intended to provide for the movement of traffic between communities and to connect with the state highway system. That's the AI version of it.
The local roads.
Local roads primarily provide access to homes, businesses, farms, and neighborhoods rather than serving through traffic. Once again, this is the AI definition.
AI.
I mean, this is not.
Like you're coming up with.
It's not perfect by any means. It's a start, I guess.
Okay, Roy had 30 years at the road commission.
Yeah, just to clarify, for Act 51, road commission, they have to certify every year what roads are local roads, which roads are primary roads. And that's where they get the mileage. Every year, they send their maps, which are, GIS maps, up to Lansing. They certify, that's why they know exactly down to the 100th of a mile. These are the local roads from here to here on a map. These are the primary roads. Local roads sometimes get upgraded to primary roads. It's a whole process to do that. But every year, you get in your local road packet. It shows your local roads, has your primary roads. Go to the road commission site right now. You'll pull that up, what the local roads are, what the primary roads are. Each section, each section is mile square, so in a subdivision, or your whole township, which is 6 miles, but 6 miles exactly.
So
it is.
could we say local public roads as certified by Washington County? Would that make sense?
Yeah, because it's certified by the state road commission. That's how they get their money from the state. Each year you have to submit your.
I like that idea, especially when you said that it changes, that the certification can change. It also gives the township something to rely on that isn't maybe as arbitrary.
Right,
So,
it's a fixed number, and like I said, it can evolve and it will change over time, but it will, each year they submit, that's why it came up with 38.95 or whatever the numbers are, and they know exactly what those numbers are. Hopefully that.
So what was the wording?
So I would say that we could say improvement of local public roads. I would leave, we could take out the parenthetical statement there. So it would be improvement of local roads as certified by Washtenaw County Road Commission. Should we say on an annual basis? Local public roads, isn't that what I said?
Mhm.
Isn't it the state of Michigan that certifies it?
I didn't hear the question.
Is
Is it
the
the
state of Michigan that does the certification or Washtenaw County?
MDOT actually does certify. Road commission submits them to the state, then MDOT will send you back the certificate.
You classify them
Classify.
and they certify it? In other words, you mark it one or the other and they.
Yeah, you put it on a map, and obviously, like subdivision roads are gonna be local roads, but like I said, like Scio Ridge Road used to be a local road when it was first built, but then it evolved into a primary road. Not the section in the subdivision, but the main road that goes through from
Is there an actual list by name
Yeah,
at the road commission? Because if we put that in the millage, they're gonna say, you're gonna force the residents now to go to the Washtenaw County Road Commission website and say, okay, where's the list of local roads? That's my point.
It's
We can, and that map, while showing the roads we're going to fix, if your road's only a quarter of a mile long, it appears on that map as a pixel. And so, how do you find your road? So it's much easier to look on a list and alphabetize it. Oh, here it is.
but I guess I'd be careful putting a list on your ballot.
Oh, no. It could be on the website, could be on Washtenaw.
Yeah,
If it's on the Washtenaw County Road site.
Yes, we have that, but we also have the compendium that we put together, and we also have the road commission, I believe, review our list. That what you have there, the capital improvement plan is not the compendium. The compendium is the one that you said, you need to narrow it down so it's not 10 feet long. And that would go into the GIS system.
So
If
just to be clear, if we're talking about certification, we're talking about MDOT. Okay, so if the language says, local public roads as certified by the Michigan Department of Transportation. Bridges, bike lanes, crosswalks, blah, blah, blah. Are people happy with that?
Right.
I'm happy with it. I would be happier with culverts and crosswalks over any road. I think a crosswalk over a Jackson Road or a crosswalk over a Liberty Road or a crosswalk over a Z Road is something that would improve that road. So I would like to see some flexibility on crosswalks. Not bike lanes too, if I'm being honest, but that's my take. I don't know how you would do that, and that, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get something that everybody who uses Scio will have access to. If it's not a road in their neighborhood, at least they might enjoy the crosswalk. I don't know.
Can we say crosswalks on primary roads?
Or
Well, and, the road commission will just eat that up. That's what I'm concerned about.
But we don't have to do it.
Right, we don't have to do anything. But that my concern is that if we don't dedicate money to crosswalks, that may not be this board, but it could be another board that says, oh, we're just gonna do all crosswalks and then eat up for the road improvements. So that's where I guess the plan comes in. That's why we dedicated culverts and bridges specifically. So, out of the amount, so we would have that set aside for those projects.
Julian, if you want it dedicated, then I'd suggest there be some language around that in the millage.
Well, there is, but we don't say culverts and bridges, $100,000 per year. That's why we say, that's why in the plan.
Saying if there is some minimum or some, you know what I mean? If there's some
That would be too complicated.
desire, this is just all possible with this language. It could be 100% of the money on bike lanes, 100% of the money on bridges, or some combination. It probably wouldn't be, but I'm just saying, I just want to be clear the difference between what's in the PowerPoint and what's in here. And if you want some of that language in here.
I don't, you're bringing that up. And the reason why is because we're not saying section 32 with these many roads will get this much money because, and it's the same with the bridges and crosswalks. That's where it's in the plan. So maybe it could say something to the fact to support but that's why all of this is in here. So we're talking about two different things. We're talking about the millage and we're also talking about the plan that we presented and putting that,
which I'm not signing on.
Right.
Or the record.
Well, we're doing the millage, but I'm giving you my concern.
No, I appreciate it.
I know, and that's why I'm raising it, because if you want more of the plan in the millage, then you should propose it quite seriously, because the plan is not in here. And I'm not proposing that, I'm more with John, I'm just saying, I just want people to be clear about what's being deliberated. So if you want more specificity in here, it should be in here.
Could we say, and crosswalks and bike lanes within the township?
Well, it wouldn't be outside of the township.
I understand that, but if the crosswalk, a bike lane on Baker Road would probably be a good thing.
Yep.
I think this might be an Oxford comma question.
No, I appreciate that.
Well, but we were
The
talking,
way it's drafted, you might have that flexibility already.
so
But what I'm trying to like, I think that Zebro should have a bike. I think there should be a crosswalk to get you across Park Road. I know they're gonna be doing that. I think Baker Road should have a bike lane, and I'm not saying we gotta drop what we're doing and but when Baker Road gets paved, then if it's gonna cost a little extra money to pay for the bike lane or something, or a crosswalk, I think a crosswalk should go in it, I don't know. As we develop density where people live and people bike, we should do what we can to allow them other forms of transportation on our roads.
Okay, well, and we have, it's in here, bridges, bike lanes, crosswalks, and culverts, just leave it at that, within the township, including related engineering, inspections, and whatnot. I would suggest that we remove the up to and include not to exceed, that is in alignment with a lot of others. Millages, especially our open space millage, and here's a bug.
Thank you, and I'm sorry that I'm being obtuse for not getting it. My apologies.
No, you're fine, you're fine. And also the parks and pathways also says up and not to exceed.
Is there, I think there was there a different meaning intended when David brought that up at the last meeting, David? So I think you were the one who suggested that at our last meeting, the up to language, which was in this
I
revision.
didn't want it to be fixed, but not to exceed allows us to levy 3.35 instead of 0.5. I'm okay with not to exceed, up to me, they're the same.
Okay.
But for Jillian, not to exceed, that's fine.
And so the process with that, Mariah, because I haven't ever been through that before. So if the township were to levy less than that, because we, at least since I've been on the board, have never done that for a millage, what would that process look like? Is it a public hearing or what's involved?
I would have to look into that. I don't think it's a public hearing. Oh, Ryan says he knows.
I think because I've looked at Webster's packet, I think you adjust the L 4029.
Yeah.
And the assessor issues that to the clerk and supervisor, then the just goes less under the tax bill.
So based on your budget for the year, the board determines what to levy.
That would be one control.
Yeah.
So that's the same with the parks. The parks come to us with their capital improvement plan and also the open space, correct?
I haven't looked at the millage language for either of those, so.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, this says for open space, not to exceed 0.5 mil, of which 4.4725 mil is a renewal. Oh, that's renewal. It's different. Of a previously authorized millage to expire in 20 and yeah, so that would be, and that then parks also has the article 9 section 6 or whatever be enacted in an amount not to exceed 0.65 mils for a period of 10 years 2020 to 2029 for the purpose of funding the capacity to develop and maintain nature preserves, parks, trails, recreation, including a network of non-motorized pathways.
So can I interject that this board has dealt with that with the fire department where Chief Hood came before the board and asked for a certain millage and it was approved. So
that was a special assessment.
Right, that's similar.
Similar.
It is similar.
I had a question for Mariah. It's redlined in the version that I have here, costs that are not covered by other sources.
So that was added because I think there was a concern, especially with administrative costs, that a lot of those costs are covered by the road commission or other sources, and that we didn't want this millage language to make it seem like we were stepping in and paying for administrative work or engineering that had previously been paid for from other sources. So this is the idea is a supplemental, not primary source of funding for those items.
It's kind of confusing the way it's worded.
Like, is it necessary or is it?
Well, that was a suggestion to me. So
I think it's adds more confusion.
That was suggested at the last meeting.
It was.
So, yeah, engineering, inspections, drainage, and administrative costs, I think are items that are generally part of the road commission contract.
Well, no, Adam did have a good point on that, because there may be a project that they have to bring in other contractors, or we have to use OHM for something. And if it's just the road commission, of course, the road commission has their own engineering and whatnot, but if we have to use, let's say OHM, then that would help, that would, with the engineering, inspections, drainage.
Right.
Yeah, so it's kind of all inclusive for not just the road commission, but if they need to. But I think the question that trustee Knoll had was the supplemental funding, not to supplant the funding from other sources. That was confusing.
That's removed.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to read you what I have?
Yeah.
And I have Scio Township Road, Bridge, and Culvert Improvement Millage Proposal. Shall the limitation on the amount of taxes which may be imposed each year for all purposes on real and personal property in Scio Township, Washtenaw County, Michigan, be increased as provided in Section 6, Article 9 of the Michigan Constitution by the levy up to 0.5 mils. Well, right now it says up to.
It's
Like up to.
Yeah.
being the same.
Parentheses, 50 cents per 1,000 of taxable value, close parentheses, for a period of 6 years, beginning with the December 1st, 2027 tax levy and continuing through 2032 inclusive, for the purpose of providing dedicated township funding to be used to leverage other sources, including private contributions from neighborhoods, Washtenaw County, or the state of Michigan, for the maintenance, repair, and preservation, reconstruction, and improvement of local public roads as certified by the Michigan Department of Transportation, bridges, bike lanes, crosswalks, and culverts within the township, including related engineering, inspections, drainage, and administrative costs that are not covered by other sources, ? This millage is estimated to raise approximately $984,536 in the first year the millage is levied.
Can I ask 2 questions? Why do we say up to when we really mean 5? Or am I wrong on that?
Right, that's my point.
Well, at the meeting last week, the request was to change it to up to, so that if there was a year that there was less money required, that you weren't necessarily always levying funds.
Okay, thank you.
But
And then-
that's a policy
Okay.
decision.
No, thank you. And then what does the phrase that are not covered by other sources, does that add much to it, or does it introduce confusion where I know we touched on it, but what if we were to get rid of that are not covered by other sources? Is that really gonna make a difference?
I would be comfortable getting rid of it because of the language further up in the statement that talks about dedicated funding to be used to leverage other sources. So I would be fine with that.
I would get rid of it if you would, and
I
that
see
would,
some nods.
I agree.
yeah,
I'm nodding.
Okay.
thank you.
Cheryl, did you get that? I'm nodding.
The record shall reflect the nod of trustee Brandt.
Okay, so now the question ends after administrative costs.
That are not covered by other sources?
No,
Or wait,
Cost
that's
period,
what we're taking.
cost period,
yeah, sorry, okay.
yeah, and
Trying
then
to keep
trump
up
it.
with everybody talking at the same time.
Also-
Clerk Flintoff?
Yeah, so I have a question about,
Funding by neighborhoods. I know I was trying to get the right word there, but is that broad enough? I'm wondering if it should just say private.
I think private contributions is fine. And just leave the from neighborhoods out.
Because I'm thinking about like Woodview Commons or Scio Farms or those big single owner properties, neighborhoods.
If I win the lottery tonight, maybe I want
No,
to
they're not, they're
contribute
combined.
money too.
So private.
What was the language that you said?
Private.
Just take the private contributions, take the from neighborhoods out.
Or private sources? Or is it a contribution when I do a SAD?
Wouldn't a grant be a private?
No, well,
No.
yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, I mean, a grant could be private, but I contribution, I want to just say again, like, I don't want to inadvertently discourage local neighborhoods who have the will and the money to throw in to do so. And that's, if we don't have any incentive for that, where it again is just not necessary. We want to keep an incentive for people to do that.
That's private.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to maximize the money, Kathy, that's what you would do.
And I'm okay with it. I just, what's the best way to word it that is gonna guarantee 51% or more vote for it? Just kidding on the last part.
Well, there's.
Yeah.
But should it say private sources? I'm okay with neighborhoods. I'm okay with private sources.
Yeah, I think private, something more broad would be better.
Just private.
Sure.
And I have a question or a comment, I guess, or a question regarding the budget. Okay, the reason why
Because they're better.
the road advisory committee proposed a 6-year and beginning in December 1st, 2026 tax levy is that it would take it into the middle of a board term. And then it would, so then the new board or the outgoing board wouldn't be, I don't want to say stuck, but would have the decision to put that on the ballot or, one way or another. And if it's in the middle of a term, then that we're familiar and we don't have as much work. I mean, we do, but we don't. So I was thinking that's why we suggested that. And the other thing is that, okay, we levy in the December of 2027, but that tax season won't be finished collecting until February 2028. Well, the bills are already going to come in the fall before. And so, well, then we can't pay them until we get all that.
Yeah, we can.
We pay them because
It'll be appropriated that prior April.
Even though we don't have the money. So where would that money come from if it's not, it's allocated, but it's not, we don't have it.
Correct. Yeah, that it would work. We would have the money. It would probably be general fund, but we do that all the time.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, this is very common.
Okay. I just don't want the road commission to say, we haven't been paid and, we need to be
No,
paid.
won't be an issue.
Okay. All right.
How are we feeling about that millage language?
Could you read it one more time?
Absolutely. Do you need me to read it more slowly?
Could you, if you have it on your computer, could you send it to all of us?
Yeah, and not everybody has a computer with them tonight.
We have our phone.
Yeah, do you want to try to do that?
if you would, it would be with your computer or John's computer if he wants to do it, but you just would go onto Zoom and join the meeting and then share your screen.
You know what? If I try to do that, I'm logged in at my office. So
Yeah.
that's not gonna work.
If you
So
email
I'll send it to
somebody.
John.
Ryan, how about Ryan? He's reliable.
Yeah,
on the computer,
you
so-
can email to me if you want. I'm happy to do it. I guess, well, she's emailing that. I'm looking through this certification map from the road commission. It is fascinating that local roads, so I can share, yeah, let me.
Does anybody else want a copy?
I just am surprised that some new subdivisions aren't included and some older.
Because they're private. All new since 2014 are private roads within subdivisions. So neighborhood like Woodview, well, they're private anyway, but
Trailwoods was the one that was glaringly off the list.
Scio View.
Yeah. Give me a second.
So the road commission is not responsible for snow plowing or maintenance in any of the new subdivisions.
Nope.
Or they just,
But they are for some
Sure.
old
Won't be
subdivisions.
speeding in there either.
no.
Yeah.
That's why I got fence.
That's what.
Ryan, did you get it?
I did, give me just a second.
One thing, John, the up to was added at my request.
What?
The up to 5 mil or 0.5
Okay.
was added at my request because I misunderstood the chart that the rep gave us.
I'm not pushing back on it.
Okay.
Email it to me too.
I'll send it to Evan.
Yeah, and I can, well, I'm gonna have it up on the screen.
Okay, yeah.
Everybody can walk and look over there.
Very few of our new developments that are on.
None of them are. You would either have to allocate money towards their own roads through their HOA dues or a special assessment.
Just question for you guys. When was Kirkway built? Last 10 years?
Early 2000.
2006.
Kirkway is not on the list. On the map, sorry.
Which way is right?
That's my question. Okay, hold on, I'll share this so you guys can see.
Well, and sometimes they could choose to be private as well. Even
Something
before
else.
2014.
Okay, here it, that's ordinance language.
Ian, could you look up Wisteria Lane, please? In Kirkway neighborhood. It would be Wisteria Lane. Sedgwood would be another one, or Sedgwick roads in the compendium over there.
By Trailwoods on the other side of Stabler? Okay, now I got this loaded, right? Maybe it's just an issue with map too. This is the language that Mariah just sent. So everyone can read it up there on the screen, I'll make it bigger. Yeah, is that pretty good, or you want me to do a little bit more? Try that. Oops. There we go.
I know this is, do we have an estimate, Jillian, of kind of like roughly, and we may not, of kind of what portion of our residents live on local public roads? Like I'm thinking about voters and people who would benefit.
Well, everyone will benefit. I mean,
Yeah, but they live on local public roads.
well, most do.
Do they?
Well, Ian, how many roads do we have for public roads? Local public roads? Do you have a number?
How many people live
We didn't.
ish? And we may not.
Lot. That's why the spreadsheet's so big. I can try and do a count. Give me a few minutes.
Okay.
No, I mean, I agree that a lot of people do, but there's also a lot of people that don't live on local public roads. We just talked about a few of them. Trailwoods, Scio Farms, Woodview Commons.
Probably a majority. The town does.
Yeah, that's a good question. No, go away.
Well, but everybody would use a local public road. There's Pratt Road, for example, the paved part of it, if I haven't already said that, but it was in my head. That is a primary road. The gravel portion of Pratt Road is local public.
Any thoughts or comments on the language?
I'm ready to move it. I'm ready to move it. I'm ready to move it.
Yeah, I would like to see the not to exceed, and the reason why is up to says, well, a future board could say, well, we're only going to because we're still going to collect the money, but we're going to provide. Yeah, because we're still going to collect that money if it says up to or not to exceed, but the up to me is more of the special assessment, like the under Public Act 3033, where they have to have public hearings and this is how much we're going to levy from that special assessment. Not to exceed means the same as the rest, that we will not exceed this point or 0.5 mils.
But a future board, so I think the meaning's the same, Jillian, that a future board may.
Do what Ryan described and which Webster regularly does, and I don't know if Scio has, is that we could levy less than that amount.
Correct.
Well, that's
Under either
Okay,
of those
well,
words.
right. And why would we levy less when we have all of these projects that need to be done? And now we've included bike lanes and crosswalks.
Because
Okay,
reasons that I
By
have.
definition, you can't do more than 0.5.
exactly.
By definition. Right?
Not to exceed.
You would have to say a different amount, so.
Yeah, I think that not to exceed and up to are the
They're
same.
equivalent.
And it just is that for those other millages, there hasn't been a year where the board said, let's collect less than the top end. But if that's the only sticking point, maybe you want to take a vote on that specific language so that we can move this thing forward.
And when we created the millage language, we took all the millages that were not renewals and we put them together, and it came down to Ian's revision, and yeah.
But if your intention,
If your intention, Jillian, is to always levy 0.5, then I don't think you want either of those modifiers. That's what I'm trying to be clear about, because
Right,
that's what it
then
sounds like your
just say-
intention is.
Okay, so
Should levy.
By the levy of 0.5 million.
if that's your intention, it's different than what's been suggested, but we need to get clear.
okay. Michigan Constitution to levy 0.5 mils.
I think you should take a vote on that specific thing
Yes.
because it seems like
Yes.
there's a split on that.
I
Okay,
think there's
So-
a lot of.
And a lot of items in the millage language.
Yeah, I mean, that not to exceed. I guess I
Just want to hear a little more from David or anybody else who had the idea that a future board might levy less than 0.5, like what is the scenario or the basis for that?
As I said, it was my misunderstanding of my misinterpretation of the graph or the chart that we were given at the last board meeting. Caroline clarified what the issue was, because what I saw was that we were going to be collecting $900,000 a year, but some of those years only had $300,000 or $400,000 worth of work. And so I'm thinking, well, we're going to have $2 or $3 million pretty soon in a fund balance. That's why I said up to. But now thinking about it, with the number of roads that we have that need to be maintained and then need to be re-maintained in 3 or 4 years, I don't think we will ever levy less than 0.5. So as much as, I think that I like the idea of having that cushion that we could do 0.45 or 0.39, but in practicality, it'll probably never happen. So I'm okay to withdraw the up to if the board wants to.
And I would, since we should have a vote, I move that we modify that from levy up to 0.5 mils to levy 0.5 mils, therefore striking the up to. If there's support for that, that's my motion.
I'll
Support.
Kathy will support, trustee Noel will support. Only one of her though. Roll call vote, please.
Gable,
No,
Flintoff, yes. Grant,
I thought we were gonna have discussion on that. I guess not, eh?
yes or no?
I know. I know, and I can't talk about it now. Rats, I wanted to talk about it. Yes.
Noel? Yes. Reed,
No,
Riser,
Yes.
Carrie?
Okay, to be clear, this is to levy.
This is it is to strike the up to or the not to exceed and just say by the levy of 0.5 mils.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-2.
Now I would like to say why I disagree, because in 2020, there was not, roads were not being repaired. And in 2024, thereabouts, the treasurer gave a rebate to all the residents. So that kind of locks you into having a fund balance that may grow more than you ever anticipated.
Yeah, I'm guessing that as the township board, you probably have some flexibility here anyway. Like, I'm not sure that you are required to levy if you
Okay.
don't need it.
Okay.
That's not a topic that I have briefed
Okay.
for tonight, but I think that you, I don't know that you're necessarily locking yourself in.
Okay, thank you.
This would be the expectation, though, is that every year you would levy 0.5.
And in the past, that was a special assessment, and when there's a surplus by law, we must return it to the parcel owners. These are two different things, but I still get what you're saying. Okay, what was it? What else was there to vote? You said there was some changes or something you wanted to discuss, or I thought the rest of it was
I'm
fine.
prepared to move the model motion, the resolution as presented and modified on this board. So I would move that the board approve the language that has been presented to us tonight and edited at this meeting tonight and displayed on the screen. And for the November, to be placed on the November ballot. November 2026 ballot.
You're moving the resolution?
I'm moving the proposal as modified tonight, be placed on the November 2026 Scio Township ballot.
Support.
Friendly amendment.
I would suggest you all move the resolution with the ballot language if you want to put it on the ballot. Just be more efficient.
I have a model motion. Okay. I move the thank you. I get lost in all my papers. I move the model resolution. Thank you, Clerk Flintoff, for once again knowing more about things than I do. Thank you, Jess. I move the model resolution.
With the language you described.
With the language that we have approved, but do we need to say June 30th, 2026 in there?
Can you just name the document? The millage.
All right.
Is it the language that the township attorney has drafted and
Okay,
presented?
my apologies. I move that the passage of the resolution that was approved that we drafted on June 30th, 2026, called the Scio Township Road, Bridge, and Culvert Improvement Millage Proposal.
I support it.
Were her good suggestions friendly to you?
Yes.
Thank you. Am I missing anything that anybody can see? Because I have a lot of stuff out.
The resolution refers to the attached millage language, so that millage language that we worked on tonight would be attached to the resolution.
Okay. Thank you. I'd ask for a roll call vote on this, unless there's more discussion.
Roll call vote, please. For Flintoff.
Gable?
No.
Flintoff? No. Grant?
Yes.
Noel?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Riser?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Resolution adopted 5-2.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Okay.
Public comment.
I don't know. Yeah, public comment. Where's my, oh, here it is. Yes, now is the time for the members of the public to speak up to the Board of Trustees for up to 5 minutes on any matter. As usual, please, anyone in person come to the table.
Caroline Altamar, Scio resident, rec, committee member. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You have no idea how affirming that is for all the hard work that you put in. And how much we really care about doing this right. And I understand that the millage language has to be precise. I understand it has to include the right kind of things. But as a person who I admire and respect a lot, who's had a lot of business experience, said, sometimes you don't let perfect get in the way of done on occasion. It is freaking hot in here.
Yes.
I'm telling you, the regular residents don't see this, but we do when we come to these meetings. I just don't understand why meeting after meeting after meeting, this room cannot stay comfortable. People say it goes off at 10. Well, it's not even 10 yet on a weekday. I don't get it. And it makes me feel very angry about my tax dollars spent on an HVAC system that doesn't keep the general meeting room comfortable. It's just outrageous. So, but anyway, thank you guys. I really do appreciate your support. And forward on, and we're gonna get these roads approved and, you know, make the roads even better than they already are. So thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Matt Hillside, President, your discussion improved things. Well done. Thank you, Kathleen. I'm surprised that you were a yes vote, but thank you very much for that. I sincerely appreciate your support for the rec. I have a theory. At 6 o'clock, it was nice and cool in here. And I think the timer is the issue rather than the HVAC. It may just have turned off at 6 o'clock. Because at 6, it was nice and cool. By about 6:20, it started warming up. By 6:30, it was hot. So let's get the timer associated with all the committee meetings, whether a meeting starts at 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 6:30. And let's fix the timer component. I think that might be a long way for a 6 HVAC issue. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else present would like to speak? Come to the table.
Yeah, just thank you again, really appreciate it. There's a couple of things I noted when you guys were talking, and I had to hold my tongue and I'll put my hand up and say, well, this is, so I just wanted to go through that. There are 186 roads in the compendium that we track in each of the quadrants to answer that question. That is not a true count because some of the roads get split. And they get split for various reasons. So we cover one area, then another. So I'm double counting. Could I build logic to figure it out? Probably. Past it, I'm not going to do it. So just, but if you have questions like that, just drop me a line. Pretty easy for me to figure out. It is really hot in here, and in hindsight, I should have been sitting here hacking the thermostat and trying to lower it. But that was a big joke. Given the last few years, the compendium on the very front page of the compendium has an overview. I think it's been shared before. I'm happy to share it again. It's your document, not mine. It is shared on a OneDrive. It's not hidden away on somebody's computer, although I do have the access to it. On the front page of the compendium is an overview, and it has my first attempt at describing what the roads are. So I take a highway that you might call them to say, I would call it a motorway. I've done some work there to try and describe what they are. We can certainly refine that, but if you ever come back to that question, what are they? There is an attempt there to classify them, okay? There was some concern about the extent of the millage, 0.5. In the presentation that we gave, We cited 5 other local townships. And the average of those 5 other townships was 0.814. So our millage is quite low. And to just give you a little bit more information, the passing rate when put to the voters, the average of those 5 townships was a 65.6% passing rate and a 33.6% not passing rate. You know, people didn't vote for it. Not to say that I don't think as a road commission, we don't have a lot of work to do, because now I think we have to start figuring out the, we're not allowed to, we need to communicate basically. I think Gillian covered what I wanted to cover, which, what roads are we covering here? So the number that we arrived at, the 0.5, wasn't just based on like, well, let's stick our finger there. There was a lot of math in the background that was done in the compendium spreadsheet and other spreadsheets to try and get a sense of what it was going to take to maintain our roads over this kind of rolling average. So we didn't just come up with that number. There's quite a bit of science behind it. So there was a suggestion that that had been done. That was not the case. And then Gillian covered, I got a different number of 28.3 miles of local paved roads, 30.96 of unpaved local roads. They're the ones that Scio has to cover, or that they don't have to cover, but we do. There's a couple of other comments I wrote. I hope I'm not running out of time. If I am, I apologize. The bridges and the culverts, I think Gillian covered that, and certain, it's got to be greater than 20 feet and bigger than 5 foot in diameter. Suggestion that there was a savings going on, we would be saving money. We won't. We'll burn through this money every year. There's a lot of backlog of work to do. Go back to the Washtenaw Road Commission packet, you'll see a lot of red roads that need some attention. So I think this is a good vote. Jackson Road, just to clarify, is Trustee Riser, you mentioned this. It's a connector road. It's not, it's actually the Washtenaw Road Commission. I don't know about the crosswalk, but it's something that is taken care of by the Road Commission, totally independent of us.
Or not taken care of.
Perfectly, yeah. But that doesn't fall into the remit of us, the Road Commission, the RAC or Scio Township. WCRC, yeah, no talk about it.
Beep, 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 beep.
I think that's about it.
I'm not stopping you. I'm not stopping you.
That's it. Thanks. Just want to clarify.
I'll be quick because, as I was mentioned, it's hot. I'm Alex Thomas. I'm a new member of the RAC Commission. I just wanted to, I think it's worth pausing and thanking my other RAC committee members for all the work that's gone into getting to this point. It's not always the sexiest work in the world. And all the other folks that I've served with have put in a lot of time and a lot of work, especially Ian, Caroline, in forming this proposal in a thoughtful way. If you pay attention to any of our meetings, and not a lot of people do, this group gets along really well. We work hard, we have spirited conversation and debate, but it's always very respectful. It's, I think, one of those endeavors that restore your kind of faith in citizen-led local government. So I just wanted to thank everyone, and Jillian, your leadership in chairing the committee was crucial, obviously. So thanks again, and appreciate the board working with us to get this proposal to a place where it can go in front of voters. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else present would like to speak? Yeah.
I just want to say ditto to what he said. I could go on and on about the wonderful work you all did today and that committee did. progress they've made in the last couple of years is phenomenal. So congrats to everybody.
Thank you, Pat. Anyone else present would like to speak? No? Anyone online, please?
Please raise your Zoom hand. I see no interested public.
Okay, board response?
I have one comment. I want to thank our attorney, Mariah Fink, for doing this stuff on the fly. That's hard work to do that on the fly and then get it so we can see it up there. So thank you, especially not like we're keeping her cool in this heated area. So thank you, Attorney Fink, for your stellar work doing that.
I'd like to say something.
Okay.
I want to recognize Roy Townsend and Patrick Shield. You guys laid the foundation for this. I believe you provided the initial tools to inventory the roads. You had a good proposal 3 years ago. I appreciate that effort.
And I would like to include David Reed in that as well.
Yes.
We do have an opening on the Road Advisory Committee. We have an empty seat for a long time. And it's, as Alex said, is not the sexiest of the committees, but we do have a lot of fun. And we sometimes residents show up, they're so happy that their road was improved, they bring us cookies. So anyways, is there a motion to adjourn?
Support.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at
7:49.
7:49. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Julia.